Hello, it's Mefa at Blomid Tutorials, and today we are going to learn how to turn this paper drawing into a digital painting, and we are going to do that with Inkscape. Why I chose Inkscape is because Inkscape is a free vector editing software. So without wasting much of our time, let's minimize this and go to Inkscape. Click on open. Of course, I don't want this page border, so I'm gonna go to File, Document Properties. All right. So I'm gonna go to File to import my image. Come down to Import. Then select my image and open. Of course, I will tell it OK. So here I have my image. If I can scroll down now, you will see I have the paper drawing. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this at layer 1. Then I'm going to add a new layer. Go to layer, add layer. Of course, I will name it layer 2, or you can choose it to name it whatever you wish. But I will leave it at layer 2. Then I'm going to open another layer. Add another layer, layer 3. This very first layer is going to be the layer where this picture I'm probably painting on will be. I'm probably going to lock this very layer. Then the second layer is going to be probably for this very building here. It's going to be for layer 2, and layer 3 is going to be for the body of the image, the entire human standing here, this very man standing here. And I will choose to start working on layer 3 before I work on layer 2. So without wasting much of your time, make sure you check out the link below if you want the access to the files used in this tutorial, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you like this video, and get notification by turning on your bell icon. More so you can help us create more videos relevant and interesting to you, and as well improve in our overall quality by leaving a comment in the comment section below. Alright, let's get back to it. So first I'm going to go to my layer 1 here and lock it. Of course, if I had this layer, you are not going to see this very image, so I'm gonna leave it unseen. But as it is now, as I've locked the layer, I can shift or move this very image on the background. But if I leave it unlocked, I can actually highlight on it, select the object, move about with the object. So I'm gonna leave it unlocked. So I'm going to come down here. Of course, I should start from, if I zoom in with my plus key and scroll up with my Ctrl and arrow key, I need to trace the line of the entire body of this very image here. I mean the image of the man standing here. So I'm going to come to layer 2, pick my Bezier pen tool. You're going to check if it is in this very mode, which I'm not going to work on. Probably I'm choosing this very third mode, which says create VS line path. I'm going to select this very mode to work on this very man here. So first I'm going to trace the entire body of this image of a man here. I'm going to zoom in now to get a clear view of what I'm doing. So you kind of zoom in with your plus key. So use my arrow, Ctrl plus arrow key to scroll up. If I zoom out now with my minus key, I scroll up with my Ctrl plus arrow key. If I give this very object here, you can see it has formed the outline, the very first outline of the man here. So I'm going to leave it at no fill. So again, I'm going to trace the head of this very man here. So with my Bezier pen, I'll come here, kind of zoom in with my plus key. Then I'm going to trace this very line here to create the shape of the face. So come here. Once I'm done creating this very path here, for the other object I wouldn't have any need of going through it. Let me zoom out a bit for you to get clearer view of what I'm talking about. There won't be any need of going around these edges here to trace the path again. Of course, I'm going to use path intersection to achieve that. So I'm going to come here, then I'm going to snap around this very object, then get to the starting point and click. So what I'm going to do now is, if I scroll down here using my Ctrl plus arrow key or the scroll or the wheel button on your mouse, if I pick my selection tool, select this very the entire body here. If I zoom out for you to see, you can see that I selected the entire body here. If I select this entire body here, then use Ctrl plus D to duplicate, then hold Ctrl plus Shift key to add this second object to my selection. Go to path. Let me zoom in for you to see, have a clearer view of what I'm doing. Of course, I use Ctrl Z to bring it back to the normal position. Kind of have it this way before, so I use Ctrl Z to get it back to the normal position. So if I go to path intersection, so kind of go to path intersection where they make together. So this leaves me now with this only, with the only shape of head. You can see it has cut off all these very parts which are not necessary. If I can take this object up here now. Sorry, I can take this very object up. If I click here to select this object, I can take it off now. I can use Ctrl Z to bring it back, and I can give it color, and I can give this one very color, let's say green. So you see I have two objects now. So I'm going to leave two of them using Ctrl A to select both at no fill, going down here to select none. So what I'm going to trace again is the hair of this very person in this image. So I'm going to pick my Bezier pen again, zoom in a bit for you to have a clearer view. Come to the side with my Ctrl and arrow key. Of course, it should be the one pointing sideways. Then come down with my Ctrl plus arrow key. Then use my Bezier pen to create this very path here. So I'm going to trace this very line here. I'm going to start from this very point. Then gradually so if I just come here, if I scroll up a bit with my Ctrl plus arrow key, I'm going to go around this very object this way, then return to the starting point and click. Then here I have this very object now. So what I'm going to do again is that I'm going to select this very object, pick my selection tool, select this whole object here or the head here, whichever one I choose to use, then use Ctrl D to duplicate, then hold Ctrl plus Shift to include this very object here to my selection. I could zoom out for you to get a clearer view of what I mean. Then go to path and again intersection, because I want to leave this very path which two of the objects met here. So I'm going to go to path intersection. So I now have the hair. If I could give the hair the color black and give the head, of course you can call it the face, the color brown, and give the entire body the color blue, you can have a clearer view of what I'm doing. So I'm going to use Ctrl A to select all the objects and go down here to leave it at no color or no fill. So again, I'm going to try to trace these eyes of the image. So I'm going to use plus key to zoom in a bit, pick my Bezier pen again. Of course, your Bezier pen should be in this very mode to allow you to work perfectly in your drawing. So I'm going to come here, snap curves to nodes, snap to this very corner, snap round, so back to the starting point. So I leave it that way. I come down here, then I'm going to return back to the starting point. Again, I have to trace the eyes of this very man here. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to trace the inner eye of this man. So I'm going to come around here, use my delete button, zoom in a bit, come up a bit, of course I can come here, select this very object here first, use Ctrl D to duplicate, then use Ctrl plus Shift to include this to my selection, go to path and intersection. So I need to give another color here, which is white. Kind of come here, pick my Bezier pen, if you notice this very handle that says handle to cast nose, then if you don't want it, you kind of go here and uncheck that. Then I have here, I have this here. Then if I kind of zoom out here, I could duplicate this with Ctrl D. Then take the duplicate copy to the second iris here. Maybe that should be somewhere here. Then I pick my Bezier pen again to create this very iris here. Then pick my selection tool, select this very object here, Ctrl D to duplicate, then Ctrl plus Shift to include this to my selection, go to Path, Intersection. Then there is another thing, because I duplicated this, meaning that this very object came before this. I need to select this very object to bring it to the top uppermost of this very drawing here. So I use my page up button to get this very selection to the top. So if I fill it here now with the color black and come here and fill this, if I fill it with the color white and come here and fill this with the color black, then come down here again and fill this with the color white, you kind of see that you're having something that looks like an eye of a human being. Then fill this the color white, then come to this second object here and fill it with the color black. You can see that we kind of have something that resembles human eye. So for here, if we fill this black, fill this black, zoom out a bit with our minus key, come over here, give this the color black and give this the color brown. You can see we've had someone with eye and hair. So I'm going to select all with Ctrl A and leave them at no fill. Come down here, click and leave them at no fill. So I'm going to come down to continue with what I'm doing. I'm going to zoom in a bit with my plus key. Then I want to trace this nose here, the nose of this image here. So I'm going to pick my Bezier pen again and start from this very point. So I'm going to trace the mouth of this person here. So I'm going to use my Bezier pen again. Start from here to trace the bigger mouth. Of course, you should remember, as I told you before, that you trace the bigger object first before the smaller one. So here I'm going to trace this inner part of the mouth. Here I'm trying to form the lips. Then here I'm trying to form the teeth of this very man here. So I'm gonna come up here, go around here, return to the starting point and click. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna pick my selection tool, come select this very object here, use Ctrl D to duplicate, hold Ctrl plus Shift key to include this to my selection, Then go to path. Of course, it should be intersection. So I have the teeth of this very man here. So here I'm trying to trace the hand of this very man here. So I will pick my Bezier pen again, come over here, if I zoom in with my plus key, zoom out a bit with my minus key, then I can scroll down with holding my Ctrl plus arrow key, or use the wheel button on my mouse. Then zoom out with my minus key, scroll to the side with Ctrl plus arrow key. Then I'll come here to make this an object by completing it at this very starting point here. So what I'm going to do again to have this very hand, come here, pick my selection tool, select this very object. I kind of want to cut out this very path that is not needed here with the entire body here. So I'm kind of make a duplicate of this, which I'm going to use to cut with Ctrl D. Then include this very object which I'm cutting here with Ctrl plus Shift. Then click on it. Go to path. Of course, if you get notice, you will see that the object we want to be left is the object where two of them met. That is here. So I'm going to go to path and click where they intersected, that is intersection. So for this very object here, I will repeat the same. Pick my Bezier pen, I'm going to zoom in for you to have a clearer view. Zoom out a bit with my minus key. Then I'm going to come here, click, then click, then come here and click. Then I'm going to scroll to the side with my Ctrl plus arrow key. Then snap to go to the starting point and complete this object. So what I'm going to do here again is if I zoom out a bit with my minus key, I pick my selection tool, then click on this very object because I want to use this very object, the duplicate of this very object, to cut out this very path here. This very path here that is not needed. And I'm going to repeat the same for the path here. Then make a duplicate of this already selected object here with Ctrl D. Then hold Ctrl plus Shift key to include this object that I'm cutting here. Then go to path difference. So I will repeat the same for here. I will have this the entire body here duplicated with Ctrl D, then hold Ctrl plus Shift key to include this part that I'm cutting. Then here I want to have this path inside. Then I would get rid of this outside. So I'm going to go the path and intersection. So I have this hand here. Then again I want to complete that of the shirt before I go down to the trousers. So I'm going to come here to form the hand of this shirt. I'm going to pick my Bezier pen again, come around over here, then start here. Then I'm going to zoom in for you to have a clearer view of what I'm doing. Then scroll down with Ctrl plus arrow key. Of course, it should be the one pointing downwards. Then come down here. And complete this object. So I'm going to pick my selection tool. Come select the entire body here first, because I want to use this body here now, which runs this way, to cut out this very part that is not needed. So I'm going to make a duplicate of it with Ctrl D, then hold Ctrl plus Shift key to include this very part that I'm cutting. Go to path, intersection. Then I will do the same for this. Here I want to use this very object to cut out this very path. I want to use this very hand here to cut out this path that is not needed here. So I'm going to make a duplicate of this with Ctrl D, then hold Ctrl plus Shift key to include this to my selection. Then go to path, then difference. Then I have the hand of the cloth this way. Then I'm going to form this very neck of this cloth here. So I'm going to pick my Bezier pen again. So I'm going to come here. And I'm going to complete it here by coming and clicking to the starting point. And here what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select this entire body here. If I pick my selection tool, select the entire body here. Of course, you've seen this line that tells you that it has been selected. Then make a duplicate of it, because I want to use it to cut this very path here that is not needed. So I'm going to hold Ctrl plus Shift key to include the path that I'm cutting. Go to path, intersection. So the same thing goes here. I'm going to make a duplicate of this with Ctrl D to get because I'm going to use the duplicate to cut out this very path that is not wanted here. So I'm going to hold Ctrl plus Shift to include this to my selection. Then go to path, difference. Pick my Bezier pen again. Come over here to trace the neck of this clothing here. So I'm going to come over here. Then I'm going to come and complete it here, forming these very objects. So what I'm going to do again now is I'm going to pick my selection tool, come over here for the body here, for this outline here. I need to cut out this very path that is not needed. So I'm going to select the entire body here. No, I'm going to select the entire body, make a duplicate of it with Ctrl D, then hold Ctrl plus Shift key to include this path that I want to cut, then go to path, intersection. So for here now, I have to select here to cut out this very part that is not needed here. I have to select this very big object which goes around it, then make a duplicate of it, then select this very object with Ctrl plus Shift key. So I'm going to go to path, difference. Then for this very path, if I zoom in for you to have a clearer view here, scroll up with my Ctrl plus arrow key. Of course, it should be the one pointing upwards. So if I come over here, I select this very object, I go over here, I want to get rid of this. I want to get rid of this very path where I think this is not necessary. So I'm going to use this very object here, a duplicate of it, to cut out this very part that is not needed. So I'm going to make a duplicate with Ctrl plus D key, then holding my Ctrl plus Shift key to include this to my selection. So go to path, difference. So for here I have this object now. If I zoom out with my minus key, you can have a clearer view of what I'm doing. So I'm going to come in here, pick my Bezier pen, come here to trace this very part here. So I could zoom in a bit because I need to have a clearer view of what I'm doing. So I kind of come here, trace this very line here. Then come over here and complete this very drawing here. So what I'm going to do again, if I'm going to select the entire body here, pick my selection tool, select the entire body here. If I zoom out with my minus key for you to see what I selected, I select the entire outline of this image here, Ctrl D to make a duplicate of it, which I'm going to use to cut out this very part that is not needed here. So I'm going to include this to my selection using Ctrl plus Shift key. Then I'm going to go to path, to intersection. So I'm going to come over here for this very part. If I zoom in now with my plus key, you can see I have an image like this, which I don't want. Of course, you can leave it that way, hiding this behind it, but here I want to cut it out. I think leaving this should be better. So I have to make a duplicate of this with Ctrl D, then use Ctrl plus Shift to include this to my selection, then go to path, difference. So I have it this way. So if I zoom out with my minus key, you can have a clearer view of what I'm doing. So I'm going to draw this very line here. So I'm going to pick my Bezier pen again, kind of zoom in with my plus key for you to have a clearer view. So I'm going to come here to trace this very path here. Of course, I should go around it this way. in case you mistakenly clicked twice to have this object this way, just come over here, select this very tool, go to Bezier pane. You will see this very node here. If I zoom in a bit for you to have the view, you could see this node here. So come over to this very node and click and complete this drawing here. Come over here to complete it here. So I'm going to scroll up with the wheel key on my mouse or using my Ctrl plus arrow key. Then I'm going to select this very object here, pick my selection tool, zoom out a bit for you to have a clearer view of what I'm doing. Click on this very object here, make a duplicate of this, Ctrl plus Shift to include this to my selection, go to path, intersection. Of course, if I zoom in with my plus key, again, come over here, I need to use this very object to cut off this very path that is not needed here. So I'm going to make a duplicate of this using Ctrl D, then using Ctrl plus Shift key, include this to my selection, then go to path difference. So again, I'm kind of zoom out a bit with my minus key, come down, pick my Bezier pane again, then to trace this very path here. Then come here to complete it. And I need to cut off this very path that is not needed. So I should use the entire body here. Pick my selection tool, go down here, select the entire body, make a duplicate of it with Ctrl D. The duplicate is what I'm going to use to cut off this part that is not needed. Then use Ctrl plus Shift key to include this to my selection. Then go over to path, intersection. So I have this now. Then for this, I'm going to select this very hand here, make a duplicate of it with Ctrl D. Then go over to here with Ctrl plus Shift to include this to my selection. Then what I need to do here, I need to cut off this path which they have something in common. So I should use difference to leave the only path where they have nothing in common. So I'm going to go here, path, difference. So I'm having an image like this. So again, I'm going to trick the pocket of this very image. So if I zoom out with my minus key, then pick my Bezier pane, then to trace this very pocket here, I'm going to run it down this way. Then come over here and complete this drawing here. Then pick my Bezier pen again. I kind of need to run this line double. You can use a single line this way. But here I don't need to use a single line. So if I want to complete this way, I have to go here, pick my selection tool, get it highlighted, then go to my Bezier pane, then have these nodes on. So come here, pick it to complete the nodes. Then come down here and complete the drawing. So again, I'm gonna trace this very cycle here. So I'm gonna picking my Bezier pen, I'm gonna come down here and trace the button, kind of like this. So if I zoom out to have a view of what I'm doing, I think I need to trace the very design here at the right hand of this very shape here. As I'm having my Bezier pen, I'm gonna come down here to complete this, run over it this way, then snap back to the starting point. So kind of zoom in with my plus key, then select this very object here, which I'm using to cut off this very part that is not needed. So I'm going to make a duplicate of it by using Ctrl plus D key. Holding Ctrl plus Shift, I'm going to put this to my selection, then go to Path Intersection. So I'm having this very design here. So we're going to continue by creating the trousers the man is wearing here. I'm going to pick my Bezier pen here. Then I'm going to come down here or scroll down using my Ctrl plus arrow key. Then come over here to trace this path this very way. You will notice that I'm tracing the path to the outline here of the drawing, which has not yet been created nor traced. So I'm going to come down, round it, and equally here, which has not yet been traced. Alright. So if I come here, pick my selection tool, then come over here to make a duplicate of this using Ctrl D, because I want to use the duplicate to cut out this very path here, which are not necessary. And these very objects that I click here, which is outline of the entire body here, from the up to the bottom. So if I say if I color this object here, if I cut out this very path here, so I'm going to use my Ctrl plus Shift to include this to my selection, then go to Path, and of course Intersection. We notice that this object has disappeared here because it was the duplicate of the object I'm using to cut this very path. So I could as well give this a color. Let's say I give it a color purple. You now see that I have this trousers that the man in the image is wearing. So again, I'm going to trace the line. Of course, I should leave this at no fill. You can use filled object. If I give this color throughout your work, the only thing you need to do is when you go to fill, you reduce the opacity. By reducing the opacity, this makes the object transparent and allows you to have a view of the outline of the drawing. If I zoom in with my plus key, then pick my Bezier pen again, I can still trace on the outlines here. So depending on the one that is convenient to you, or maybe you are still amateur in painting, you just have to choose the one that is more convenient for you. So I'm going to come in here to form this line. I think I will leave it this way. So I noticed one thing. If I come in here, you will see that this place has some extension. So I'm going to select this very object here. So I'm going to go to edit path by nodes. I need to reduce the nodes here to make them match to the outline. Maybe leave it this way. Then select then I need to do some little adjustment to the nodes. So I'm gonna rotate it to have it this way. So I'm gonna zoom out now to paint this very man here. So I'm gonna zoom in a bit. Of course, the trousers, I'm gonna give it the color blue. So I will come here. Of course, you should notice that this fill and stroke is still at 65% opacity. So I'm going to make it 100%. But for now, let's leave it at 50. So I'm going to come in to the very hand here. If I scroll to on the color wheel and pick the brown color here to the hand, select this very color. To get the exact color, I have to go to select the color, then go to fill, then make sure that it is in fill and not stroke paint. Then select the color, copy the color, and come over to the right hand. Then select the outline and paste. So I'm going to come over to the face. And I need to give the face the same color, so I need to select the outline to the face, then come here and paste. Of course, you've seen that the face have covered everything here. So I'm gonna take it down by giving it one step behind by using page down. Then if I continue clicking, it will be going down and other outlines will be coming up till I see every details of my drawing. So I think it's okay here. So I'm going to use this color to reduce it to about 50% opacity because I need some details here. I need to draw the ear, the outline of the inner ear. So I'm going to pick my Bezier pen, zoom in with my plus key. Then I need to trace the ears of this very man here. Zoom in a bit again to trace the outline of the ear. So I'm going to come here. Then return back to the starting point. Then come down to the left ear to draw this very ear. Then with my Bezier pen, I continue to the outlines. Then back to the starting point. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to come here, pick my selection tool, select this very object, make a duplicate of it to cut off this excess part here. So use Ctrl plus Shift key to get the second to my selections, then go to path, then intersection. Then I have this very path remaining. So I'm going to zoom out with my minus key. So of course I have here, but it looks very ugly. So I need to get some details out. So I'm going to zoom in again with my plus key. Maybe I need to draw a rectangle. I'm having a circle object, but it's not a circle, it's actually a rectangle. But because the notes here was at the center, so if I return it back now, I'll have my perfectly shaped rectangle. So I'm going to select the rectangle here, place it here, maybe reduce the size to about here, then click again, to get the rotation handles, then rotate, then take it to this place. Then I need to cut off this path which are not needed. So I'm going to rotate again, take it back a little bit again. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this, holding Ctrl plus Shift key to select the second object. Then I'm going to go to path, and what I'm going to do is difference. So I think this is better, but if I kind of take this down to this place, so I have this here now. So I need to come down to this place. I have to come down. So I'm gonna go to edit path by nodes, then come over to this place, then draw it down a little. So if I get a rotation handle here, then draw it a little. Check out. Let me check out. So of course I need to if I zoom in now, zoom in and zoom in, then I'm still gonna use edit path by node. Then I'm gonna adjust it till I get till it get to this very till it get better, maybe to right about here. I think this is now better. So if I zoom out now with my minus key, I think it's perfectly okay. So I'm going to come in here to complete my drawing. Then I'm going to paint the outline to the hair, the color black. Come here, fill it with black. Come over here, fill it with black. Then here, then fill this with white. Again, fill the other one with white. Then of course, fill this very one with black. Then the little circle objects inside, fill it with white. Then fill this with black. Then fill this with white. Then I'm gonna come down. So I cannot make the shape of the fix a complete fill because I want to get the color of what I'm doing. Let me make this a complete fill. Come over to fill. Then come over here, click. I need to get rid of this. I think I have a double outlines here. So I come to the face, to the outline, to the face, get filled to 100%. Then I will come over to this shape here. Then it should have this very color here. Then this outline should have this color too. And here is having a white color. So I'm going to select this very color, copy the color. Of course, it should be in fill. Then come over and paste with either Ctrl V or right click and select paste. So I'm going to come over here to this very outline, then and give it a fill white. Then over here, white. So I'm going to pick the color here. If I click on this color, go to view, copy the color, then come over here and paste the color. I think this place is having a shade of blue color. The color is somewhere here. Likewise, the entire body of the image. So I'm going to pick this color here, copy the color, and to the entire body of this image paste. Of course, if I step this behind by using page down key, and we need to create a path to cover this. So I'm going to zoom in a bit for you to have a better view of what I'm saying. Pick up my Bezier pen. So I need to form a path around this shape here. So I'm going to come here, pick my selection tool, make a duplicate with Ctrl D. Then holding Ctrl plus Shift key, select this. Then go to path, difference. Then come over here, make a duplicate of this with Ctrl D. Then using Ctrl plus Shift, select this path, go to path, and again difference. So I'm trying to get the shape here. So I'm going to come over here again. Then come over here to select the entire body. Then using Ctrl D to make a duplicate. Then I'm going to zoom in again. Then using Ctrl plus Shift to include this to my selection. Then go to path, this time intersection. Then select this again using Ctrl plus Shift. Then come over here. Then get this selected. Then go to path, difference. I can take out this very path now. Then I could give it a color, this same color with the head here. Come here, pick the color. Then copy with the Ctrl C. Then come over, click on this object here and Ctrl V to paste. Now I have this left now. So I'm going to give this a color, give it the color white. So the pocket has similar color with this. I'm going to come here, make a duplicate of this with Ctrl D. Then holding Ctrl plus Shift, I'm going to scale down a little bit. Then I'll go to stroke style. Then reduce the stroke width. I think it looks better now. So I could come here to make it more pronounced. So I need to come over to the color wheel. Then select a shade of blue. Then come over here. I think it looks better here. So I'm gonna come over here. I need to take the color here, take the fill, then copy the fill, come over here and paste the fill color. Then I'll come over to the stroke paint and leave it at none. I think it looks better this way. Then I need to color the lips. Then I'll pick a shade of brown. I think this looks better. Then if I zoom in with my plus key, then select this object here. I'm going to give it the color white. Then I come over here and give this the color red. So I'm going to zoom out with my minus key. As you can see, this object is covering the other objects here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a duplicate of this using Ctrl D. Then I'm going to go to Path. Then Difference. Then I'm going to cut this path by going to Path, then break a path. Then I can take this out and get rid of it with my delete button. So I need to fill this now to 100%. So I'm going to select this color here, go to my color wheel, fill in the color. Then I'm going to go to stroke paint and remove the stroke paint. Then I'm going to go to fill and copy the color of the object. Then come to this object here and paste. Again and paste. Again and paste. Then if I zoom in, then I'm going to select this. Then use Ctrl V to paste. Then I'm going to remove stroke paint from them. Then I'm going to paste the colors. Then I'm going to come in here, then pick blue color. Then I'm going to go to fill, copy the color, then come over here and paste. Again paste. Again paste. 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 And paste. I need to give this more details. So I'm going to come here, then pick a shade of brown, maybe somewhere here. Then pick the color, copy. Then come over here and paste. Then same goes with this and paste. Then come over here and paste. So what I'm going to do now is to remove the stroke paint, no stroke, and again no stroke. Then come over here, no stroke, and again no stroke. So I will leave it this way. So here we have the painting of this very image here. If I zoom out with my minus button, you can see we have the complete painting here. So I'm going to lock this very layer. And once I lock the layer, I can move about with the object. But I still need to complete my painting. So I need to create the drawing of the building. So I need to hide this very layer. So I'm going to come here and hide this layer. Then I'm going to come over to layer 3, then start my drawing. So first I'm gonna trace the dimensions to this very building, the drawing of the building. So I'm gonna pick up my Bezier pen. Now I can work with regular. I should work with regular Bezier pen, but I would rather use BS spline mode because it allows me to make drawing with a straight line and as well curves. So I'm going to pick up my guide, then come over here and create. Then come over here, then to complete this. But if you notice this, to avoid this forming a curve, what you have to do is to come over before the starting point, just click and drop, click and drop, then come to the starting point and click. Now I've gotten the dimension of the object, so I'm going to come over here to trace this very outline here. Double click again to have here. Then come round it and complete it. So what I'm going to do now is to let me increase the stroke weight. So I'm going to pick this object here. Let me first remove the guide by highlighting it. Once it turns red, then I'll get rid of it by hitting my delete button. Then I'll come over here, make a duplicate of it with Ctrl D. Then holding Ctrl plus Shift key, I include this to my selection. Then I go to Path, Intersection. So I now have this object here. If we have this object here, if I fill in with the color, then if I make a duplicate of this with Ctrl D, then drag it a little. If I choose to give this a different color, and come over and pick this object and leave it at no fill. Then come over here, maybe somewhere here, and drop it. Then pick my edit path by nodes. If I zoom in with my plus key, then come over here to edit the nodes. If I have it this way, then what I'm going to do is to pick this object here, then make a duplicate of it with Ctrl D. Then using Ctrl plus Shift key to include this other object to my selection, then go to Path, and of course Difference. So we now have this object here, so I use Ctrl Z to get it back to the initial position. So if I zoom out now for you to have a view of the entire object, let me fill in this other object with the color yellow. You can see we now have object that looks like this. So I'm going to leave all at no fill by using Ctrl A to select all, then no fill. Now we are working on the drawing of the doors behind the man on the image. So if we zoom in with our plus key, now we can use our Bezier pen in on regular path mode. because we are working on objects with regular paths. So it's better if we use the Bezier pen in regular path mode. So we now have this. So we can come here, Ctrl D to make a duplicate. Then scale this duplicate down a little to have this. Then if we come down to this very second outline of the door, then still in my regular path mode, then if I come down to create the path for the door here, then we can come here and complete the drawing. Then scroll down. So again, what we want to trace now is this very path of the object here. So if we zoom out now, if we use our minus key to zoom out, then scroll up with our wheel key on the mouse, or use Ctrl plus arrow key. Of course, it should be the one pointing upwards. If we come here using our Bezier pen, but here I'm going to change the mode to creating B-spline path. So I'm going to pick the Bezier pen in this very mode. Come over here to trace this curve. Why I do that is because here I'm tracing curves here. So I need it to be in that mode so that it allows me to work perfectly. So I'm gonna snap around here, then return back to the starting point. Then what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna zoom out with my minus key. I'm gonna click here, select this object. I want to cut out this very path of the object that is not needed. So I'm gonna make a duplicate of this with Ctrl D. Then Ctrl plus Shift to include this to the selection, which is the object I'm going to cut. So I'm going to path, then difference. So I now have this object perfectly cut. If I remove it here, you can see I now have this object here. So Ctrl Z to get it back to the initial position. So likewise to this very object, I'm going to cut out this very path which is not needed here. So I'm going to take this object here, I'm going to make a duplicate of it with Ctrl D, then holding Ctrl plus Shift button, I'm going to select this second object which I intend to cut. So go to path and again difference. So I now have these objects. So what again I need to kind of create these very objects here. So I'm going to zoom in with my plus key, then pick my Bezier pen again in this very mode, create BX spline path, then snap around this very outline. again, and return to the starting point. There I have it. I can use my minus key to zoom out. Then I think I need to form these lines here. So I'm gonna pick this. I kind of here you have a tedious work to do. So I'm gonna pick my Bezier pen again. And again, there are two ways I can achieve this. I can achieve this by running this line over and of course in such a drawing you don't even have to follow this very path as it is here. All you need, once you can get your hand over one, of course I should go here and pick my regular path tool. Then start here to trace this very line here. Once you have this path here, what I need to do is I'm going to select this object, then use Ctrl D to make a duplicate. Once I make a duplicate, I come here and place it. Make another duplicate, come here and place it. Make another duplicate, come here and place it. Of course, now I need to shift a bit behind. Then make another duplicate, come here, and place it. I think that's perfect. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this very big object here to cut out the path along these edges. So I'm going to do it one after another so that I don't get things messy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start from this very beginning. I'm going to make a duplicate of it with Ctrl D. Then holding Ctrl plus Shift, I'm going to select this first object here. Go to path, intersection. Again, I'm going to make a duplicate of this with Ctrl D. Holding Ctrl plus Shift, I select this second object here. Go to path, intersection. Now we are done with this. We can go down by scrolling down using my wheel button on the mouse or using Control plus arrow, of course the arrow pointing down key, to create this this switch here. So we are going to pick up our Bezier pen, but in this first mode, in creating a regular Bezier path. So we're going to zoom in with plus key, scroll to the side with Control plus the arrow pointing to the left, then come here to trace this drawing. So we're going to come over here to complete that. Again, we're going to zoom in a bit, then using Control plus arrow key to scroll to the left and of course to the up. Then we're going to trace this also. So I'm going to trace the bigger outline first. Then I'm going to make a duplicate of this. I'm going to select my selection tool, make duplicate. Then I'm going to shift this to this side. Then I'm going to rotate this. Again, I'm going to click again to get my scaling handle. Then scale up, again rotate, then move, then I'm gonna click again to get my scaling handle. Again, click to get my rotation handle. I'm going to shift this little plus here, down here, then get my rotation handle. Click again to get my scaling handle. Perfect. So I'm going to make a duplicate of this twice. Ctrl D, Ctrl D. Take the first duplicate here, then take the second duplicate right about here. Then the first duplicate should be here. Then I can select the both objects, then scale it down a bit. Sorry, I need to exclude this object. I can exclude the inner rectangle here, the inner rectangle, by holding Ctrl plus Shift and clicking on it to exclude it. Then I'm going to scale this down, holding Ctrl plus Shift. Right about somewhat here. So what I'm going to do now is I have to duplicate the inner rectangle here. If I could give it a color for you to have a clearer view of what I'm saying, I could duplicate this inner rectangle here using Ctrl D, then holding Ctrl plus Shift key, select the second object here, go to Path, Intersection. Then again, I could make a duplicate of this inner object here by clicking inside, using Ctrl D to duplicate, holding Ctrl plus Shift, selecting the second object. Sorry, kind of need to repeat that, and I have a duplicate. So Ctrl Z to get it back to the position, Ctrl plus Shift to select this second object, go to path, and again intersection. Then again click here, Ctrl D to duplicate, Ctrl plus Shift to add this to my selection, then go to path, intersection. Here I have my switch. So again, I'm gonna trace this very point right here. So to achieve that, I pick up my Bezier pen. But now I need to have it at this very mode. So I have to come here, and I have to select this and make a duplicate of it with Ctrl D, then take it to this very position. Then here I got to reverse it, and again. So I'm gonna click again to rotate it once again, maybe right about here. So here I have my switch. Now what I'm gonna do now is that I'm gonna click on this very object here, Ctrl D to duplicate, then using Ctrl plus Shift to select this, then go to object, go to path, intersection. Then the same goes for this, using Ctrl D to duplicate, using Ctrl plus Shift to select, then go to path, intersection. Then I'm going to give this a color light red, and again I have to take this color, come to fill, copy, and come here and paste. Then I'm going to remove this stroke paint. It's none. Here I'm going to remove the stroke paint. It's none. Here now I'm going to have this color, and here I think I will have then I have to copy this very color, come over here, highlight, copy, then come here, paste. Sorry, this is in stroke paint, so I have to go to fill, I have to come over here, go to fill, copy the color, come over here and paste. So here I have my wall socket here. So if I zoom out with my minus key, you could see that I have my wall socket here. So right about now, I have to start painting this my drawing here at layer 3. So I'm going to zoom out. Again, first I'm going to come to the door, scroll to get this to the center. Then zoom in. I'm going to come to the door first. Maybe I should give the door a very dark brown color. Then I'm going to copy this color. and repeat it here and paste it here. Of course, they should be the same color, so I'm going to paste it here too. But coming over here, I'm going to make this a little bit darker. I think this is better. So I'm going to come over to the handle of this door and give it a color from, let's say, light gray. Of course, the handle should go with the same color. And here, kind of give this a color from what I have here. To get hold of what I'm painting here, adding my plus key. Then to the entire wall, I think this building has a color from so for this, I'm gonna come over here then I pick my rubber band selection tool to draw over this. Now what I want to do now is I want to change the color to maybe somewhat I'm gonna go over here alright, then zoom out with my minus key. I now have this building this way. So here now, if I zoom in with my plus key, I need to get rid of this. So I'm going to click here, Ctrl D to duplicate, then scroll down, Ctrl plus Shift to select this, then go to Path, Intersection to get rid of the down here. So again, what I'm going to do now is lock it for now, lock this very layer. Then I'm going to go to layer 2 and unhide it. And one thing you notice here is that in here you can see layer 2 actually, not because it was locked, but because this very layer 3 was above layer 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to layer 3, unlock it, go to layer, lower layer, and that's it. So kind of I'm going to go to layer 2, and because of the color of this very line here, if I zoom in, I'm going to change the door color here, maybe a lighter color. I'm going to select this door and give it another color. I need to change the color to I'm gonna pick this very color, copy the color, come over here and paste it. So we now have a digital painting of this very drawing here.